Hello and welcome to Legendarium Green Team. I am your host today, Hurinfan, and I'm joined today with Wombat.
Hello, everyone.
Short time, short C.
What?
Well, it hasn't been a long time no see. It's short time no see. That's what I should say. Short time no see, Wombat. And also
Yes,
Little
yeah.
Red Book.
Hello.
Long time no see, Little Red Book.
Indeed, it has been a while. But
Lerb
I'm so glad to be back.
Yeah, Lerb's been gone for a while, so we want to welcome her with open arms. Welcome back, Lerb.
I've been convalescing, but I am in good health now.
Today we're covering The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. A little bit of backstory for why we're covering this book. I put out the call to cover The Will of the Many not too long ago, and Wombat's like, hey, I'll read that with you. And I said, cool, let's read it. And then after he joined, he's like, oh, I didn't mean this book. I meant The Book That Wouldn't Burn. I said, okay, I'll read that one too. And so it was just he and I, and then I was like, hey, does someone else join? And then Lerb's here, and that's how it happened. She's already read this. Is this your second time reading this book?
It is. It is my second time.
I guess she liked it so much the first time, she agreed to read it again.
I've read a couple books twice that I didn't like, but yes, I do enjoy this book.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're the person that does that.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the book? What were your general impressions without going into spoilers? Who wants to go first?
I'll run with it. I loved it. Yeah, short, sweet, to the point. Thought it was great. I feel like maybe it's a hidden gem. Like I feel like I didn't hear anything about this really around the Discord that we lurk in, and just like broadly online. But yeah, loved it. Thought it was great.
Era told me to read it. And I really enjoyed it. It has lots of fun twists and turns, and it's mysteries and layers and portals, which always gets me on trouble on our Discord. But it's just it's a fun book. It's got some emotional heft, and I enjoyed it. So there you go.
Who is Era?
Eridandus?
Yeah, who is that?
He is on our Discord and co-host of my defunct podcast. Hi, Mark.
Lerb used to do a podcast with Eridandus, and he gives good recs on the server.
Yes, he does. Shout out, Eric.
Shout out, Era. I kind of wish that there was somebody here who just didn't like the book, so we could hear their opinion. Because this is just going to be like the three of us, like, wow, this book's really good. Because this book's really good. Not only is it really good, I loved it. So not the same thing, by the way.
Same.
Yeah, I thought this book impressed me from the beginning. Not only in its prose style, because Mark Lawrence is a surprisingly good prose stylist. It has infinitely quotable lines, like scattered throughout the whole thing. It's metatextual. I love metatextual. It's got portals, like I said, it's portal fantasy. It's got a gigantic library, which very clearly inspired by Jorge Luis Borges. Thematically, it's very interesting. It had me stopping and thinking about, like, I'll talk about the themes later, but yeah, it had me thinking. It had very interesting characters. It had emotional plot lines. It had an interesting story in general. So yeah, I love this book. Now I want to get into our history with Mark Lawrence, because it seems like a lot of people just don't love Mark Lawrence for whatever reasons. I want to see what your history with Mark Lawrence is and how it compares to this book to other stuff you've read by him.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this and the sequel are the only two books I've read by him.
What about?
This is the second Mark Lawrence book I've read. The first one was, I think it's called Prince of Thorns. Deeply disliked that book and did not continue the series, and was very leery about picking up another Mark Lawrence books, and then was super pleasantly surprised because this book was awesome. So a tale of two different authors, Mark Lawrence.
Can I ask why you didn't like Prince of Thorns?
Yeah, I think it struggled because it's a first-person narrative broadly, without getting into spoilers for that book, and I deeply disliked the main character, and in a way that just kind of took me out of the story, I think. So maybe it's a me thing. It probably is a me thing. Most things are.
York sucks.
I do find it very, very difficult to read books if I really dislike the main character. It's okay if the main character, if you like to dislike them, does that make sense? But if you...
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, but if you hate them, yeah, you just don't want to spend time with those people. And you're like, I have other books I can read with characters I like, sort of thing. Or like to hate. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, this is completely off topic, but I really dislike Emma. Jane Austen is one of my favorite authors. I really dislike Emma. She is a bad person and she deserves bad things to happen to her. And so I don't like that book. I read it once and I'm like, okay. So yeah, completely understand.
Need to read Emma. I've read a lot of Lawrence, but I've never been blown away by him.
Were you blown away?
The book that one burned, yeah. Yeah, I've read all of the Broken Empire. Yeah, York sucks, but I still think he's a compelling character. Red Sister, actually, I liked Red Sister a lot. I read all 3 of her books. And then I read Prince of Fools, I thought was meh. But yeah, nothing really I thought was particularly deep. When I read them, I wasn't really paying much attention to the prose. I just thought he was a fine author, and I was looking for something to read. So this book was a revelation, and I want to go back and reread some of his old stuff to see if it's raised in my estimation at all after having read this.
The only other thing I can say on this topic is,
okay,
but I have read the sequel, like I said.
I've got it on the shelf in front of me as we speak, and there's a sweet siren song coming from that general direction. I don't think I'll be able to hold out for long.
The 3rd book is out, I believe.
It is, yes.
Yeah, I have not read that. So,
well, it looks like we have some listener questions, so
beautiful.
Do the ones that are doable now. Okay, Kipton asks, have you ever wanted to burn a book, and if so, which one?
No, it's never occurred to me to burn a book. There are books that I have stopped reading, but that's not the same thing.
I don't think I'd have it in my burn a book, even the ones that I dislike strongly.
I think the last book that I read that I just despised, and I don't think I would even burn that one.
We might not be the right demographic for this question.
We are not.
we need some political radicals in here.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, Kip. Yeah, we can't think of anything. And I guess the rest might have to wait till spoilers. So, any thoughts before we go into spoilers?
No, let's jump in. I'm excited to talk about this.
Let's jump into spoilers first. Do you want to talk about characters or themes or story or setting? What are you burning to talk about?
All of it. I want to start with the setting, if everyone's all right with that.
Sure, setting. Let's start about.
I love the setting of this story. Largely, it takes place in a library, or in a city just outside of the library. The city whose name I can't even remember, which maybe sounds like less of an endorsement than it is. I was worried that we might get into like a lot of kind of exposition-y dumps about this setting, and we didn't. It's actually one of my favorite things that he did is just that we get thrown one of the POVs of Ivar, I don't know how we say his name, is he's just immediately stuck in a library where he's been living with his 3 or 4 siblings for quite some time. And I found the setting to be really interesting, and I think he was able to make it really thought-provoking throughout the book with a lot of the themes he was exploring. And I think it's rare that setting stands out for me, which is why I want to talk about it first, just because it felt like such a standout. And this is probably the beginning of what will be a gush fest on my end.
What I was going to say is what I found most interesting about the setting is that you have Ivar trying to get out, and you have, oh my gosh, what's her name? The main girl character.
Lavera.
Lavera is trying to get deeper into the library. She's technically in the library, but she spends a lot of time. They keep saying she's learning to be a librarian. She's an apprentice, and her co-apprentices keep saying things like, no, this isn't the library. And then she gets into the actual library, and there's books for literally miles. And she's trying to discover the secrets to getting in further, and he's trying to get out. And they meet, and not to get ahead of the story, but they meet in this crazy world that's all trees and lakes, and they discover that and he's just trying to get away. He just wants to go out and have a normal life because he doesn't remember the outside world really. And he does have 4 siblings, by the way, but one of them is missing. So
I agree. I love the setting. You guys are focusing on things that I was less interested in. Although
Oh,
I do like the city. I like the inside outside aspect. I like the horde that's coming for them, the Sabbers. I enjoy the dusters and the people who go and steal the duster children and the what's the discrimination done against the dusters and prejudice that exists there. But what's most interesting to me was the library itself and the infiniteness of the library.
hmm.
And I've seen these kind of libraries before, and I'm 99% sure this is highly inspired by Jorge Luis Borges' The Library of Babel. Library of Babel?
I've not read
Library of...
that.
You should read it. It's short.
I
And it's like, it's really, really good.
I was just thinking about Powell's
uh,
Powell's books here in Portland. So,
But that kind of library also exists in Book of the New Sun, where it has every book that's ever been written, and it seems like
mhm.
might have books that have not been written yet, but already exist inside the library, and they have books that were written in other universes or timelines. Yeah, I think that's the most interesting aspect, and it ties very, very well into the themes of what Mark Lawrence is exploring in the book, which was the most interesting thing for me in the story.
Oh, the themes in this are fantastic. I think that he did a really good job of conveying like a sense of age with the city. You know, where a lot
Mhm.
of the thematic elements tie into the setting, so it's hard to kind of talk around it. But the idea of like the cyclical nature of history um, is a big theme in this book, and I love that. You know, our Lavera, one of our main characters, is from this place called the Dust, and they're like, "Well, what is the Dust?" And you know is literally like the dust of civilizations that have risen and fallen in this world over and over and over again, which Hurin already beat me to it. Really kind of gave me some Book of the New Sun uh, vibes, and I was yeah, I mean it just was fantastic.
Yeah, it's
So
got that feeling, and it's a great feeling.
I was just gonna say, so was your reaction to that, positive or negative? So, it's a positive reaction that you felt about
It is.
it sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I think I had a really positive reaction. I love Book of the New Sun. Hurin and I read and recorded those episodes together. Shout out to those. And
Twice in a row in two recordings that we mentioned
yeah,
Book of the New Sun.
uh,
Oh my gosh.
but also earlier, I want to go back and just say on a personal note. Earlier last year, I had read a canonical for Leibowitz,
Mhm.
phenomenal novel. If you haven't read it, and this also had some big canonical for Leibowitz vibes for me. A lot of thematic overlap.
Eh,
Gosh, the themes are just so good.
I
They're so good.
did not get that from because I've read
Really?
Canada. Yeah, no, I didn't. Except for maybe I can kinda see where you're coming from, but that's not what I felt when I was reading it.
For me, the thing that connected them the most strongly is like the idea of knowledge, and is that a
Okay.
good or bad thing, and are we or are we not responsible enough to wield that in a way that is productive, or with knowledge does that come like the doom of this kind of cyclical nature of history? Are we doomed
Mhm.
to push and push and push until we destroy ourselves to just learn the same thing over and again, and the cycle repeats itself? And it's just I thought it was really interesting in that book. I thought it was beautifully explored in this book, and I like especially that Mark Lawrence I don't think gave us any answers, right? He's just kind of posing the question, which I think is my favorite when authors are kind of toying with an idea, but they're not, you know, they're not trying to convince me of something. They're just
Undidactic, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
And yeah, that I don't know, I just had a different feeling, I guess, about Canticle for Leibowitz, but when you explain it that way, I'm like, "Oh, okay, I see what you're talking about." Um,
I think tonally they're very different. A Canonical for Leibowitz is like very bleak to me, but this one
it is very bleak.
has is pretty bleak as well in its own
Yeah.
way. Uh,
Its own way, but ultimately hopeful, maybe?
yeah, there's
I
We'll
definitely
think
find out.
so.
more of a hopeful element.
I do think it's ultimately more hopeful than Canticle for Leibowitz, which just kinda I mean, I loved it too, but it kinda is a little bit wrist slashing inducing, you're kinda like, "Oh god." Um, and
I
I
think
totally recommend it. It's short, so it's not like you're gonna be in that headspace for a very long time.
that's great.
I
I It's a book I think about a lot actually, and I didn't I didn't know it would have that kind of impact on me, which is maybe
Mhm.
one of my favorite stories to read. But I had a question here. I posted something, and we typically do like a chat, as we're going through the book. This one was pretty quiet. We didn't say much other than kind of our general impressions, but I put pretty early on that I thought we were dealing with split timelines.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
and I'm curious if you guys got that energy pretty early on too, or not. And
Yeah, it's actually one of the first
uh,
things I considered. I thought, okay, I didn't see the twist that he was a Saber, but
that was a
I
good
thought,
twist,
yeah, I
actually.
could see
Yeah. I
like
was just gonna say, when did you see that twist?
it seemed obvious that he was either like universe hopping or time hopping or both at some point. And I was like, well, maybe they just exist at different times because I've read stories like this before. I thought, well, how are they going to meet each other? How are they going to talk to each other? But yeah, it's one of the first things I considered as well.
I was just trying to figure out, because I caught on to that pretty quick. He doesn't have the ball on that at all. It starts pretty early. You realize that it's the same library, but they're in different times. I thought that he was in the past.
Uh,
I thought he was in the past, not her.
I
Because you
think maybe I thought the same initially. It's hard to
Yeah,
remember,
'cause
but I feel like I did.
That's the opposite.
and I also I yeah, exactly, it's the opposite, and I love the idea that they can interact. They can't interact with the past, but they can interact with the future, and which makes sense because that's how it is in real life, right? And the fact that uh, Livia, chooses to, um, interact with his time because she can, it's his future, but that means she has to forgo her world completely. Does that make sense? She can't go back ever. And how they she has to overcome that. That's an obstacle. She has to overcome it. And I thought that that was very cool.
That's a powerful thing that a lot of people have to do when choosing between,
Yep.
like, it's a metaphor, but choosing between two worlds, or in real life situation might be you'd be choosing between two families or two countries or different alliances or friendships or something like that. So yeah, it's real.
Well, I was gonna say, how does it, I mean, as an expat and living in Japan, did that issue resonate with you a lot?
Um, Not
I mean,
really.
I
I
know
mean,
I know you can come back to America anytime. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but
that's the thing. Like these kind of things kind of don't exist anymore except by choice,
Mhm.
because we have the internet now. So no, it was never really a thing for
True.
me.
But it in the past, like, people say would come to America from England, and they were definitely saying they would never see their family again,
And then the only way they
or they
could
would
do it
go
is
out
hopefully
west.
by letters, and even then it was kind of iffy.
Yeah, unless you had a lot of money, so
Yeah.
but
I
so
want to go back to the setting. Uh, I was playing Silk Song while I was reading this, and so this book was giving a lot of. I was mapping a lot of what is this onto the Silk Song map, and I think it works pretty well. So all of our Silk Song players will, I think, understand what I'm talking about.
I have not played that.
Your sons love it.
I
You've seen them playing it, probably.
I'm sure I don't watch my children play video games, that's not a thing. I know they play it. They talk about it, and I'm like, "I don't understand anything that they're saying."
It's bug
So,
people in a post-apocalypse, and well, kind of half post-apocalypse. It's good stuff.
it's
does
kinda
does this book feel post-apocalyptic to you? I feel like it kind of
I think it
qualifies.
feels
Yeah,
post apocalypse. It reminded me a lot. Have you read The Moat in God's Eye?
not.
mm-mm.
Have you heard of it?
No.
I haven't. No.
I don't want to spoil it then. There's one aspect of this book that really reminded me of Moat in God's Eye. It's a sci-fi and with aliens and alien civilizations, and I won't go into that. But people who've read it might know what I'm talking about.
Or would you recommend it to
I
people who have read it? I should say.
People like this, would they like Moat of God's Eye? They're almost nothing alike except for in one specific aspect. I don't want.
It Oh, okay.
Should we move on to characters, themes?
characters, yeah. I mean, I think they tie in so much.
No,
Who
right?
who of the
That's how you.
two main characters were you more connected to? I guess.
I think Livira. We spend a little
I
bit
think
more
you're
time with Livira. Plus, she is the typical fantasy protagonist where they come from the outside and they're introduced to all this new stuff like the reader is. And so we're learning along with her. So I think in that way, she's a little more, I don't want to say sympathetic. They're both sympathetic, but they're identified more with her.
relatable.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Relatable.
And I think that
Um,
you're meant to.
yeah. Whereas Evar, he's definitely an interesting protagonist. I really like where they go with him in the story throughout the whole thing, and especially where he ends up. But his is a lot harder to grasp because he's in such a cuckoo land of like what the hell is he doing? Where is he? What's going on? Kind of deal. Which is a fantastic way to read, but it's a lot less endearing than to have to follow Livira from her childhood to becoming a librarian.
I would say, as far as relatability, yes, but I find him more compelling.
Do it, but yeah.
And the reason why I find him more of a compelling character is because she's not a plight. She's as far as like female protagonists or whatever. But he not only doesn't understand himself. She understands herself. She's fully grounded. He doesn't understand why he wants to leave the library, and he only knows like four other people, and he's so I don't know. I don't want to say he is kind of stunted in a way.
Pretty well adjusted for
And
knowing so few people.
what?
He's pretty well
Yeah,
adjusted considering.
he's actually the most well-adjusted of the siblings. Um, his sister is really crazy, but they were all a lot. Okay, so now to talk a little bit more about the characters, we're gonna have to talk about. So
We have
all
to
of
talk about
these
what?
kids,
Sorry, can you
the
repeat that?
mechanism,
Oh,
the mechanism. We have to talk about the mechanism because you have to understand all of these kids, they come from the same general time in their empire, but they all came from different time. And so he was the first one to go in the mechanism, and then his sister is the last one to go into the mechanism, and they all kind of pop out at once. And in his time, the invasion wasn't happening. The Sabas weren't coming. And then in Ava actually, or Ava's sister
Elvis.
actually, right. Don't ask me to remember names. She saw the library burning when she went into the mechanism. Her mother pushes her into the mechanism to save her life. And then they all kind of pop out, and they're all about 8 years old or 9 years old, and they're taken care of by these sentinels, these like statues. One's called the soldier, one's called the assistant. And hmm?
Who are
And they
they?
raise who are they? But what I'm saying is, to understand his character, you have to understand that this little world that he lives in is someone who sees the threat, someone who sees the empire fall, and they're all stuck in the library. And you can see the burned books because the library burned. And there's all
They're
these
burning.
burned books, and there's no shelves, and like there's just stacks of books. And they're like have to worry about like being avalanched by books type of thing. And so that's the world he's coming from. And it's different. It's so different. It's such a different setting, I thought, for fantasy. It's not generally like we're trapped in a library with four other people and these two creatures that barely talk. It's like, I don't know. I just thought he was just more compelling to me because of I've never had that experience, like it was new. And I thought the author handled it well and it seemed realistic to me.
I
And I think
agree.
part of the reason why he's more well adjusted is because he didn't watch his world burn around his ears. And the other four
Yeah,
kids have experienced that.
Clovis's position is all too understandable considering what she saw and lived through.
Right.
Um, yeah, I think with that though his is a lot more insular. We get him talking about Clovis, we get him talking with Clovis, but other than that, it's mostly him exploring by himself, right? Whereas with Livira, she is talking with other librarians, she's talking with people that she's working with, she's talking with what's her Malar, which is my favorite character. And so we get a lot more give and take in terms of conversation and exploring what we know of the world and the politics of the world. And even, I think it's through her that we're understanding more of the mystery involved, the library itself,
Right.
and yeah, kind of just the overall setting and the, what's the word?
Because we've all been out in the world and seen it work. We understand where she's learning and discovering and what she's doing. Whereas Avar, I mean, yeah, we can relate to the need to escape, but I guess, but he's just like he's more of an internal person, and I love that he has a. Oh, so part of the mechanism is that they all went in with books and they came out knowing everything that was in the book, and
Be
and
cool.
they can actually relive it. What?
That would be cool. I wish we
That
had
would
that.
be, yeah. So, part of the reason why Clovis is the way she is, of course, she's seeing the library burn, but also, um, she was shoved in with a random book that turned out to be like a book of the history of war or something like that. One of them is a spy, one's a historian, and I can't
It was
remember what the other.
psychologist.
Yeah, one's a psychologist. And what's kind of cool about Avar is that he is like the second best at everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I think one of the core like things about Avar's character is that he was in the mechanism for a long time, but has no memories of being in the other than the like that. There's like something about a woman, and so they got his siblings, quote unquote siblings, get stuck in the mechanism where you're literally living inside the book that you're. So he's kind of like forced to cross study in a way that they're not, but that's also like a driving principle of his story. I also thought it was interesting because a core tenet or principle of like Avar's character is that he doesn't have any of the memories of being in the mechanism. Like he obviously was in with some kind of book, but it wasn't something that made him like a master of warfare or a psychologist or a historian like his siblings. And then we also learned through his stuff that like the mechanism is malfunctioning. We get these things that they call escapes, and they're like able to strengthen themselves by absorbing stuff from books, like the actual writings of stories. And through that, we find Avar, through a series of events, finds a book that's written to him. Like he opens it, he's like, "There's something about this book." He opens it, and it says, "Avar, if you're reading this, don't turn the page. Find me at the bottom." I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's close.
no,
It's kind of the
that's very
gist.
close.
and I don't know. I related a lot to Avar. I feel like I've never felt like the best thing in my life. Like I've always felt second fiddle
Mhm.
to like much more talented people around me, and so there was a lot that like resonated with Avar for me. I also struggle to be in a small space with people for some amount of time, even if I care about them deeply. And so I liked Avar. I liked both characters a lot though, and I think that's part of what made the story so great. And there's actually even a couple side characters. Hurin mentioned Malar, who I really enjoy, but also the I can't remember the librarian's name who actually kind of recruits Lavera. Gosh, what is his name? He's one of the head librarians.
The albino.
Ute.
Ute.
Ute. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Ute. Ute was my favorite because I think because of the questions he asks, honestly. That's my favorite. Like he thinks about the library in a way that it's very obvious the world around him is not. And I really appreciated that about his character. It makes a lot of sense later when we find out that he was one of these assistants and essentially, forsook his immortality with his wife, and now they're like the head librarians in Lavera's time.
I
Um,
don't think that. Well, okay.
no, go ahead. What don't you think?
I don't think that they forsake their immortality. I mean, they're immortal. They have in the sense that they can be killed, but not in the sense they're because the housekeeper says that something about her how he raised her mother. So he's not aging. He's kind of like, does that make sense? So
I
he even says to Livia that Livera that he's very old.
Oh yeah, no doubt he's very old. I thought I could have swore I read a line in there somewhere where he basically said, when we gave up being a sense that we are no longer mortal. Maybe they're just aging on a slower timeline, but I'm totally open to
Maybe.
the possibility that I'm completely wrong there too. I could be misremembering.
That's
That
how
happens all the time.
well, it's also not a major it doesn't matter either way. The point is that he's been hanging around. And you find out also that the head librarian is his wife
Yeah,
or
and
sister. Or it's hard, it's not clear. It's kind of like
what here's this ties me into is going to tie me into a point. I don't know where it falls on the spectrum of character or theme, and it probably dabbles in all of it. But
Because this book is really
normally,
good.
yeah, normally I struggle with books that have a lot of time jumps, and I don't think it's well done often.
Mhm.
Uh, and this is like maybe one of my favorite examples of that because there's some twists in here related to that I did not see coming. But also like the way it all tied in. We find out that Ute and his wife have given up being assistants to help the people of I'm going to call it Earth.
Mhm.
Uh,
Is it you?
we don't. Yeah, yeah. Yes. And we find out that is because of like this tragedy where, humans and Sabers are living together and, they're killed and that Lavera and Ivar were traveling back in time and actually witnessed this, and he saw them. Like because he was an assistant, was able to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such a powerful moment for him that he and his wife, basically um, discard their life as assistants and then try to help humanity, like stop this crazy cycle of death and destruction and violence. And I just, man, when that all sank in to me, I was like, oh, this is so good. And it felt so powerful. It was just like, because you kind of feel the futility of what Yude's trying to do, the whole story, right? Like he's trying to steer these people into a better course. And his idea is like that we can't give these people all this knowledge at once because they're not responsible enough to handle it, right? Like we need to kind of spoon feed them, and then with time and knowledge will come the responsibility, hopefully, to handle the power that more knowledge will bring, right? And but you could feel like he just feels like it's just him against the world,
Well, and
and
his wife is just like, give him everything. Give them what they
his wife,
and specifically give them the type of knowledge that they want, not like give them
yeah,
all the
his
knowledge that they
wife,
want.
exactly. Yeah, his wife has a fundamental difference and disagreement about the philosophy of their life's philosophy around knowledge and the pursuit of it.
They still love each
But man, it
other.
was just they do, and they still love each other. They disagree, they still love each other. It just was so good when all those pieces clicked into place for me, and I just wanted to shout that out. That I think the time jump stuff is hard to pull off, and I thought it was so well done here, and the way it
Mhm.
tied into all these themes. And I just thought it was beautiful that that they were both willing to give up this thing, to kind of be on the outside of this as assistants, right? Like they're seeing it, but in this uh kind of impartial third party kind of way, and to say like, no, we're
Well, yeah,
going to be a part of it.
I
I
was
don't know.
gonna I was gonna say yes, outside, but not impartial. Neither of them are impartial, but they are outside this. And
Well,
so
I mean, at some point they were this like impartial third party, and then that event happened, which caused them to not be.
yeah. And I like how they're very we know that there's an event, but they only tell about the event in myth, which I thought was interesting. Like they say, well, this is a story about the generation of the library or the creation of the library. And they're like, but it wasn't exactly like that, but it was also kind of like this other thing, and they can never quite pin down exactly what it is. Does that make
This
sense?
just this just brings me into another thing I love about this, and I'm sorry to just gush, is that there is so much like biblical thematic stuff going
Mhm.
on in the story.
Mhm.
Um and I really love I just yeah, I the more I'm sitting here thinking about it, the more I love it. But the idea of like it is ignorance really bliss, like all these things pertaining to knowledge. I don't know. Here, and I'm curious. I got to get off my box here, the gushing that I'm
No,
doing, but
I'm loving what you're putting down. And as if we weren't already deep in the weeds, let's officially move on to themes because this is what I really want to talk about. And
yeah,
as you
yeah.
I'm sure our listeners would be like, you're moving on to themes now, as if we haven't been talking about it already. Is because it's so interwoven with every other aspect of the story, and that makes a really good book. It's because it's with the characters, it's with the setting, it's with the dialogue, it's everywhere. Um,
I was gonna say it's
yeah,
not polemic. Like you read some fiction and it's like, this is the message. Does
yeah.
that make sense? And this is the opposite of that.
Um,
Anyway, keep
yeah,
going.
we're talking about myth, and you're right. It's like it makes a very interesting line between fact and truth, and
Mhm.
what is the difference between fact and truth, and how truth is created with narrative and through fiction or through myth. And just because something didn't actually happen doesn't mean that it's not true. Like with these
Right.
biblical mythological stories, like there is truth there. These things happen; they are important to our lives, and they shape how we interpret the world and how it creates meaning in our life, right? That doesn't make it any less true than something that actually happened. I,
And
it's my
I was gonna say that's exactly what I was thinking, especially when you find out that the king in Livia's her time is saying, I don't want you guys to read fiction, only facts. And then Ute says that no, fiction is the best part of learning the truth.
I
She's
think
so right.
Somebody Gene Wolfe does thing in all of his stories. I'm talking about Gene Wolfe again. He likes to write something that seems like a lie on the surface, but ends up actually being true. He does this in all of his stories. And I think somebody once asked him, "Why do you do this?" Where like something just seems like a lie, but it's actually the truth. He's like, "I think it's because I'm writing lies. Like stories are lies. It's just lies that we make up. But I like to think that there's some truth there, or I like to think that all of my truths are made up of lies." And I think that's just a very beautiful way to approach fiction. But yeah, this story is like a love story to fiction. It doesn't say the other stuff is unimportant. It doesn't say that facts and science and understanding are not important. But like, if you don't have the wisdom and the wisdom that you could learn through stories, then it's going to end up bad. He says that
Well,
the
there's this guy, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about myth, and he's like, to a certain extent, all those myths, all those stories, the older they are, the longer they last, it's true, is that they condense truths about what it means to be living in a human world. They're not facts, but those stories are the wisdom of the generation, to some extent, generation. Right? Does that make sense?
yes. Like let's put it in the like the view of a war, right? You could read a history book that just kind of goes by the facts. You could learn all these things, but that doesn't really tell you like what the truth of living there was, does it? You could only
No.
understand
You
that
need
truth
to
through it's not fiction, but somebody's account of what happened, or a fictional account of what happened. And that's how we
I was
could
gonna
pass
say,
on real experiences and real lessons and real values.
and it
Like
allows you to experience things that you will never experience. Like, it's one thing to read about World War One in history books, but it's another thing to read Farewell to Arms.
very well put. Yeah, like facts are how you win arguments, and stories are how you build empathy. And then the only way that Levira and Ivar could communicate was through a book that she wrote herself.
Mhm.
Um,
I just love that part of the book,
it's
by the way.
beautiful. It's
That she's
it's
Yeah, that she's leaving pages all over the place in the library and hiding them. It's so great.
Um, but like, not only is like the importance of fiction here, it also talks about the dangers of fiction. Because you could write
Mhm.
stories that are just talk about how terrible the Sabers are and dehumanize these people, and that's been done. Like we have stories and narratives, not necessarily novel, although it exists a novel too, throughout history of dehumanization of others, and it's just so easy to do, and it's a very powerful tool of propaganda. So it's not all fiction is great. It's just fiction is complicated, and history is complicated, and knowledge is complicated, and wisdom is complicated.
So what you're saying is that everything's complicated.
uh, yeah,
I'm just teasing you. But there are great moments of, like, just the simplicity of experiencing life too. Like when they go to the city that's not in war, and they just walk through the city, and they just are seeing life around them and enjoying it. And it's just, they have this a lot of sweet moments, and then they also get attacked by the in in the whatever, what is it called? It actually has a name, because it's where all the librarians communicate with all the the statue
exchange.
creatures. Yeah,
Exchange. I
the
was gonna say it
exchange.
starts with an E.
They have they have these, so you find out there's only 2 books that can communicate like that, and one has been stolen and missing, and I believe Lavera has it, right? Right? It's her, that's the book she stole, correct? That she's using
I don't remember.
to write to Var. The other thing that's I find interesting is the first time he sees her, she's like 13. And the last time he sees her, she's this woman that he's been dreaming about forever,
Mhm.
which
I
also
think
heart. Hmm?
I just there's a lot of like a deep romance in this book that's tied into
Mm.
all this too, and I just wanted to take a second to say that I also really enjoyed that. You know, I
Did too.
thought it was
Yes.
super well done, and then you find out that uh, Lavira and Avar, well, Lavira and Millar take over the bodies of these assistants, get trapped in them, and they're actually the assistant and the soldier that cared for and raised Ivar,
Mhm.
his sibling.
Weird.
Yes.
It is
That
weird,
was
but
so weird, crazy, but good. I loved
Yeah, I
that, and
like that too.
it was heartbreaking, and
I
but
thought
it
it
was
was
good.
heartbreaking. I thought it was beautiful.
And it
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like there was
A lot of
because
complicated emotions.
well, because he was saying like, oh, I like there's times where I feel like the assistant actually cares about me, you know, but then like other times they're silent. But that's because she's like fighting to get her personality like through this kind of
Yeah,
alien body,
because
you know?
once they go into the bodies of the statues, like, they're not permitted to do certain things. And Malar even says to her, "We can't let them eat food in here," or whatever. I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah,
It's not
she's
permitted,
bending the
it's not
rules.
permitted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he can't, but as she's bending the rules more and more, the existence that she is squishing her into the form that it wants her to be.
Uh, so let's talk about the library for a second because I think this ties into themes as well. We find out that the library has
Google.
been founded by like these two brothers, whose names I can't remember at all, but they're a clear reference to
Enable.
some biblical stuff.
Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel. Yeah, I was thinking Genesis in my brain. I was going to get there. Obviously, like Cain and Abel's parents in the Bible, if you're not familiar, are Adam and Eve, the first two humans. Eve eats, what is it, the fruit of the
Of the
forbidden
tree of
tree of
knowledge.
knowledge. Yeah. And then, man's ignorance is ended, and we're in
And
the
they know
thick
the
of it,
difference
so to
between
speak.
right and wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the thick of it, and this is kind of like the spawn of the library, and we find out that the library is kind of a compromise, of sorts. So my question, I guess, having said all that, is I thought it was really interesting to take like a biblical story like that and tie it into the founding of this, and I actually found it really compelling and thought provoking. It actually somewhere in this space I'm at, I had that had some dust on it, and I dusted it off and actually read a little bit of Genesis chapter 1 through whatever.
1 through
Actually went a
3.
little further than that. I think I ended up to like chapter 20. But do we think that in the following books, like that something changes with the library? I guess that's kind of the central question of maybe the series. But I kind of hope that Mark Lawrence leaves it ambiguous.
I cannot answer that
Uh,
question because I've read the second books. You guys
you
need
have, yeah. I guess maybe
That's
this
a
is
very
a
good.
question.
It's a very
for
good question.
Karen.
I haven't thought about. So, like, does something happen to the library that changes humanity, with sappers and humans'
Yeah,
relationship with knowledge, and or does something happen? Does something have to happen with the sappers and humans themselves with their relation to wisdom? Uh, I don't
exactly.
know.
Yes.
I don't know. Sorry,
This is no,
I'm so
I
curious what you
sprung it
guys are
on
going
you.
to think.
This is the thing that's been spinning in my head is like this is maybe the central conflict of the story, the Saber. Well, it is. I mean, because everything is so tied in. The actual conflict is tied in with this mythological conflict that's tied in.
Romantic conflict.
The romantic conflict and the conflict of knowledge and ignorance, which to Hurin's point, indicative of a great story. And it's a thing I'm going to be reading the second book this month. I'll just spoil that now for everyone. But I'm dying to know.
Are you
I've been
building your reading
kicking
list
that.
for us?
Oh, I went out and bought the second book and put it on a shelf because even if we don't cover it on the podcast,
No, I'd be happy
I'm
to cover
definitely
all 3
finishing it.
because I
I
But
haven't
want
read.
to as well. I don't know when. Oh, my reading schedule's very full.
So I have a
it
question.
usually is. Yeah,
I have a question. When did you realize that Avar and I don't names
Lavira.
Lavira?
Vera were different species, that they were not both human?
Oh, this is going
Amazing.
to be embarrassing, but I didn't realize it until the twist. And then
Yeah, me neither.
I
but
didn't either. Just
what's
I'm not
so
trying to
good
make you
about
feel bad.
that is that when I found out, I thought back and was like, "Oh my gosh, there was all these hints, like they all came to
Yeah.
light." And then that was another sign that this was a great twist, right? There was plenty of foreshadowing, and I missed
Yes.
all of it.
Yeah.
And so
Anyone who listened to our last book talked about how something I love about really good twists. Like, not to say that other twists aren't good, but a really, really good twist, in my opinion, is one that makes you rethink everything that you had up to that point. And this one does that.
yes,
I gotta
yeah, it was
say,
great.
reading the book for the second time is a completely different experience because of that, and it's positive.
No, I bet the rereadability of this is fantastic. I
Yeah,
very well
because
might
you
reread it
start
someday.
saying, "Oh, oh." Although I will say that I called the fact that the assistant who had the hand in the pool of silver that Livia first finds, I did call that would be the same assistant, and that was a portal. I did not call it would actually be her eventually.
That was the second twist I did not see coming, and then when you
Yeah.
think back on it, recontextualize the whole story. I mean, And I would say this isn't like me putting my, thumb in my nose here is like that doesn't happen to me often that twists land that well,
I agree.
let alone like a couple times in the same story in the middle of this like rich thematic with characters that I like. If it's not obvious to everyone at whatever minute we are recording, I gave this book a 5 out of 5. Uh,
Well, I found it interesting that the escapes are actually literally another species that's currently invading.
Oh yeah, that was a good twist too.
And there's so that there's 3 species involved that we know of.
yes. Well, and it was mentioned a lot throughout the story, right? That the Sabbers.
Yeah,
This is
that
another
third one
thing I loved.
exists.
Is Sabber just means enemy? Like both sides
Yeah.
calls the other one Sabber. I love that. That was such a great play on like language and dehumanization. Anyway,
Perspective.
yeah, perspective.
And I was gonna
But we find out that they're constantly running from this like third party threat.
But they don't know it's a third party each other. They don't realize that there's this other species until the end. At least that's the impression I got, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, Ute it talks about the existence of the third party at some point. I
Right,
want to
Ute
say,
does, but I'm talking.
yeah, in general, yeah. I think the outside peoples don't.
Yeah, I think that Ute and his wife know, but our 2 protagonists don't realize. They think they're talking about the same enemy until this third enemy shows up.
Yeah, and then Avar knows them, right? Because he's read about them. So like when there's this kind of like oh crap moment, right, where finally the portal from his library gets opened, right? Like the problem they're having at the very beginning gets opened, and then immediately there's a few of these creature on the other side, and violence ensues.
I want to talk about the dog and the crow.
Okay.
I don't have a lot to say, except I enjoy them so much as side characters. They're before the white statute assistants that we see all throughout the library, and I just I just enjoy that we have these kind of like they come from the English Moors almost, the big black dog and the crow, and they help open the secrets of the library in their crowy and doggy ways. And I just really enjoy them as like the crow can open any door and the dog can find any book. And they're friendly, basically. They're scary, but they're friendly. Like they seem scary, but they're friendly-ish. The crow's kind of a jerk sometimes, but
Bro,
I just thought it was a really fun thing in the story. Like it's not a huge plot device or anything. They're fun when they show up, and you're always like, yay!
I
So
agree.
this is
They're a nice, fun part of the story. And like, who doesn't love a big, lovable dog who's trying to be helpful, and a crotchety, crankety crow who's constantly telling you, "Don't do that to the books."
yeah.
I mean,
I think
a crow
the book needed some of that levity too, because
Mm.
otherwise I might have spiraled into existential dread thinking about
I
some
don't
of
know. I
the.
think the end is pretty hopeful. I really do.
There's definitely hope at the end. I just the questions that Mr. Mark Lawrence is asking in this book are like just timeless and things that I think about a lot. And obviously, I would say we all value fiction as well. Like Hurin said, it's kind of a love letter to fiction. And anyway, just a lot of it resonated with me, but a lot of it's heavy. You think about it, and it's just kind of a lot to contemplate. Some
I
of
was
the
going to
stuff
say
that.
it's palatable. You can read it on the surface and just enjoy the story, but also type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say this is definitely a personal thing, but like for me as a reader, characters and theme are always, way at the top. I know that's definitely true for Hurin.
It's true for me too, but I'm saying I could see how you can just read the book and enjoy it and not be
Oh,
like,
sure, but for me,
it's a
the
fun
beauty of this one was
story.
getting lost in the questions that Mark Lawrence was like presenting to us.
But that's kind of why I brought up the dog and the crow. I don't want anybody listening to us talk think that like, oh my gosh, this book is unapproachable. It's not an unapproachable book.
No, I think
It's
it reads really easy. I think the
mhm.
pacing was perfect. It let stuff breathe that needed to breathe and moved along when it needed to move along.
I think Mark Lawrence is a surprisingly good stylist. And it's you have people who don't want flowery language, blah blah blah. It's I don't want to call it flowery because I don't think it is, because I think a lot of people think that flowery language is hard to read. It's not hard to read. This book is not, but it's still really, really good and really beautiful. So good job, Mark Lawrence. And something I really liked what he did. I mean, it's nothing new. A lot of people do it, but his epigraphs are really, really good.
Yes, they are
They're
very good.
always thematically relevant with what just happened in the story, and sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're meta. Oh, they're usually meta, and they're often beautiful. So I just wanted to say something nice about the epigraphs.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So I want to go back just a little bit to where we were talking about whether or not this was a hopeful book. The reason why I come out with a hopeful view is they're making their final escape from her time. She's getting her people out, basically, and as many of her friends that she can get out. And she's like, I have to go back. I have to put out the fire. I have to stop the books from burning. And I think it's you that says to her, somewhere in the world, the library, or somewhere the library is always burning. And I know why does that make you hopeful? It's like we lose things, we gain things, and we can rediscover those things that we've lost. And that's why I feel hopeful about the end of the book. Is that weird of me?
No, it makes sense to me. It is slightly strange that you focused specifically on that, although I do think the way you explained it justifies it.
I don't know. That's
I
the
think,
quote that hit me in the heart.
I think it
Is
fits too with a lot of what is, about cycles, right? Cycles of
Mhm.
destruction, cycles of creation. I felt hopeful also at the end of the book, but also not hopeful. I don't know where I land on it.
That thing about the everywhere the library is burning. So let's pretend that the library is the world. I always imagine it's about compartmentalization. It's that like, yes, there are terrible things happening, and yes, you want to help out, but what you need to focus on is what's happening right now and something that you can actually do about it. That's how I interpreted that, at least. Can I share some quotes? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, please.
I think anybody who's read books and who likes to collect books could, what's the word? Empathize. It's always the book you don't have that calls to you. You know that, not the ones on your shelf. They can wait. Does anyone else feel that that's just a universal truth?
I don't know. It's not universal, but it certainly would resonate with all of us, I think.
People don't want truth. They say that they do, but what they mean is that they want the truth to agree with them. Somewhere halfway through the story, when somebody was explaining the problem with having an infinite library with anything that you want inside of it, it could tell you anything that you want. And I immediately thought, oh, this is Google.
I was going to say, it's the internet.
What does nostalgia mean to a child? An abstraction, a standing stone waiting for them in the mist. Walk a path across some decades, any path you like, and the word will gather weight. It will come to you trailing maybes and might have beens. Nostalgia is a drug, a knife. Against young skin it carries a dull edge, but time will teach you that nostalgia cuts and that it's a blade that we cannot keep from applying to our own flesh. I should have read that earlier when I was talking about how approachable and yet beautiful the prose is, because that's exactly what that is. There's a million more, but I'll stop there.
I think that there's that particular quote, you have to be of a certain age before you really understand that one.
Right, because young people aren't going to get it. But what's
They
beautiful is telling that to young people.
Yeah, and then they look at you and say and roll their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids are too young to be doing this yet, but I'm telling you.
I know it's coming.
My mom looked at me when I was in high school and she was like, "You better enjoy this." And not that she didn't say that. Other good things were coming because this is going to be over very fast. And it was. You become a freshman and the next thing you know, you're graduating from high school. You don't feel that when you're a kid. Christmas is a bazillion years away. And that's why I don't think children can understand nostalgia.
It's true, man. I remember when I was 7 years old, I was thinking, wow, my life has been so long. I can't believe it's gonna last like 11 times this. And I kind of felt existential dread. I remember feeling that way. Like, oh my God, am I going to live this long? And then when I looked, I'm like, oh my goodness, you sweet summer child. Like years go, like I'm only almost 40, and time is going way too fast.
Yep.
Shall we? Do we have anything else to say? Shall we get into the listener questions?
Read it.
Okay.
Give it a go at least.
What were your Lady Sweden asks? What were your preferred POV, and how did the shifts affect your enjoyment of the book? I think we talked about that, didn't we?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that we covered that. Let's compare. If you could take a book into the machine, would you? And if so, which one? Ooh, that's a good question. Same question. Oh,
I would say, yeah, probably like The Hobbit or something. I wouldn't want to like. The nice thing is, I could just go enjoy the Shire and then be done with it. I don't actually have to like go smog. So,
Yeah, Sam
but it's
says
a
something
place I've
about this though in Fellowship of the Rings, I think, in one of the
it's a
one of
place
the
I've
books.
thought about often.
The mechanism, you take in a book and you kind of just like grok the book, right?
Yes, I would say that's a good description.
But what
Like
about
you're living it, but
nonfiction?
you're not actually.
Would it work with
What
nonfiction?
I think the mechanism would work with nonfiction, right? Because
Okay, then
the
my answer is I print out the entirety of Wikipedia.
Oh my gosh, why? That sounds awful.
so you could be the Trivial Pursuit master of the universe.
Unless it's bad, because sometimes the stuff in Wikipedia is not good information.
It's one of the most reliable sources of information with very strict rules.
I wouldn't use it for your research. I don't think that I would.
I don't. I use their sources. You can't
Because
quote Wikipedia. You got to quote their sources.
I'm just giving you. I'm just. That's a fair. I think that's a fair example of something. I would not. Like I said, I don't think. I don't know. It would have to be. It would. It would not be any of the books I enjoy reading most because I would not want to experience them if I'm just grokking it. Even then, I don't know what I decide to do.
Yeah, this is a hard question. Other than my trick answer.
Yeah, that's a trick answer. If I could just come to full understanding of a book in the mechanism, I would probably pick Paladin of Souls. If it's someplace I actually had to experience, I would probably pick something like Pride and Prejudice. Because that just seems like fun to be upper middle class in, Regency England. I wouldn't want to be a poor person though in any of those situations.
Non-trick answer, I think I'd pick Culture because
Like the whole book, the whole series.
Any one book, 'cause you get in one book and you could just hang out in like a space station, right? And it's a post needs. I forget what it's called. Post needs society. So that's pretty nice.
Post scarcity society.
Thank you. Post scarcity society. So it seems pretty nice. I don't have to go to those crappy planets that they try to go fix. I just hang out in the space station.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, it seems the rest of the ones we answered in our talks. Thank you, Lady Sweet.
I don't think Wombat answered. Did he? And I missed it?
Oh,
no,
yeah,
you
sorry.
said you hang out in the Shire. He was going to hang out in
the
the Shire.
Hobbit. The Hobbit.
Yeah,
Shire, that's a good answer.
I just want to hang out.
Yeah,
in the Shire
that is a
and
really
just,
good answer.
Yeah, do nothing and just frolic around with a bunch of hobbits.
Enjoy your second breakfast.
Yeah,
yes.
Do a little bit of gardening.
Gardening, afternoon tea. Yeah,
just so peaceful, except for like the nosy neighbors and all the.
I could deal with it for a day.
Yeah, no problem. Domestic life. Okay, shall we end then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go read this book, everyone.
You said that now. Wait, maybe we should talk about. Do we have any problems with the book?
I don't know that I have any real problems at all. Actually,
I think
my main problem.
Go ahead.
My main problem is our female character's a little bit just too smart.
That's right.
Like she has no education. She can't read, and like she's at the library for a year and surpasses like a bunch of students. And I'm just like, come on now, a little bit Mary Sue, nerdy Mary Sue.
It's very savant. My problem, I think, is that I think she and Ivar fell in love too quick.
Oh, I strongly disagree about that one. Interesting.
Oh, really?
No, I do agree with Hurin. I think they much more fall in love with the idea of each other than they fall in love with each other.
Which is fair. Especially at that age.
That's how it starts.
Here's why I disagree, and I'll see if I can coax you back to the light here.
Okay.
You're gonna have to coax me too because I'm with Hurin.
Okay, let's go. So let's go to their first meeting. She meets him. It's not a love thing, but she's what is it? I think she wasn't even 13. I think she was like 11.
She
was very young.
She was young, right? And so what does she do? She goes back to her world where literal years pass. She's met this man. It's left a huge impression on her, and she starts writing stories where they like travel the world together, do all these things. So she said like years to kind of think about this, build up this relationship in her mind. And we know that Ivar is chasing after this woman that's had this huge impact on him, like right away, right?
Not to mention that she's the only person he's actually met outside of his family group.
Correct. Yeah. And so we know that there's something to that. And then, as she interacts with him, there's a couple of big time jumps, right? I think like one's 3 years, another one's like 4, 5, or 6 years. And by the time all the pieces click into place for him, like in her maybe early 20s or whatever. And
Yeah.
and to me, it made all the sense in the world because he got put in a mechanism with the book where they are like he's literally living these adventures and this love story with her. And she's the one who wrote them at the age. Anyway, I thought it all mashed
No, no,
up.
no. No, you're wrong. He doesn't have her book in the mechanism. He doesn't. He finds it in a pile, in one of the piles when it falls over.
I'm pretty sure that it was implied. I could be maybe I'm totally wrong though, that was the
Yep,
book that
you
he
are.
went into the mechanism
He didn't have the
because
book, I think, because that's why he didn't get
because
anything. Like,
no, because he didn't know. Like he just came out of the mechanism, and
I don't.
unless I'm
Maybe
wrong,
I'm
I'll
wrong.
let Hurin be the third party
We
here.
can find it out. We
Because
can.
there's a whole scene in the end where when the two halves of their books meet, right, he gets all those memories back. And the only way for him to get those memories back is if that was the book that he took into the
Okay,
mechanism.
maybe I'm wrong. That's fine.
I think
It doesn't
Wombat's
matter.
right.
About the book or about the love story? About the book?
He's convinced me. I'm on his side now.
About the love story or the book?
Both.
Yeah, there's just I thought there was so many layers to the love story, and when I sat back and thought about it, I was like, "Oh, that's really beautiful." Like the way it
Thank you for
happened.
enhancing my understanding. And yeah, that's
So,
you're
Wombat,
right.
I'm gonna agree with you on the book. I still disagree with you about the love story. I think
That's right. I'm batting
very much the
500.
idea.
I brought one of you back to the light. There's still time. Still time. We got a couple more books.
Well, their love story is over, right? Because she's a statue.
No, she got freed. She got freed at the end of the book from the statue.
Find out.
Well, I mean, we'll see. It could be. She's like a ghost still, so hard to say.
I think Lerb is just trying to misdirect us. She's read the next one.
I don't remember enough about the next one to tell you that particular detail. I can tell you how I felt about the next. That's it.
Okay. Don't even tell me. Don't want to know.
I won't. You want to know?
I don't want to know.
Oh, you don't want to know. Well, I won't tell you then how I
Good.
felt about the second book.
Good.
I'm not forcing it on you.
Good.
Like, why are you fighting with me?
Good. All right, let's stop there. That has been Legendarium Green Team's episode on The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. We all loved it. Go read it, please. Please, I want to talk more about this book with people. It hurts me so much when people are just like, no, I'm not going to give it a try. I was like, oh my God. People are gushing about The Will of the Many, and this is like so much better.
I've not read The Will of the Many.
It's Head and Shoulders a better book.
Head and Shoulders. Please join us on the Legendarium Discord. It'll be in the show notes. Even if you disagree with, especially if you disagree with us, I love arguing. Come to the Discord and tell me how I'm wrong. Our intro and outro music is Galactic Damages by Jingle Punks. That is all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.